You guys know what it is. Today's Trash Tuesday. We are talking about the artificial devil fruit smile. So, what this just garbage, piece of garbage of a card says look at the five cards from the top of your deck, play up to one smile type character card with a cost of three or less, then place the rest at the bottom in any order. It has a trigger that actually makes it play. One of the issues is with this card is the fact that there's virtually no support, right? So there's a way to get this card, right? And that is Orochi. So in an ideal world, you would have your first turn, like let's say you even go first, tap one, you play Orochi, which the only real big saving grace with Orochi is that he has a 2k counter, because what he does is he lets you search through all of your cards, right? And then to find the artificial smile devil fruit, you put it in your hand. So then the next turn, if you were going to be running this strategy, of course, you'd be doing tap two, and then you use the artificial smile, the artificial devil fruit smile. So you play that, and then let's say ideally this is what you'd see. Okay, this is speed. You have Sheep's Head, which is a vanilla. You have Bao Huang, which is choose two cards from your opponent's hand. Your opponent reveals those cards. Hold'em, on KO, add up to one Dawn to your deck and rest it. And Jinrun, which is just a 1 for a 3k. This is literally every single thing that you can pull with this card. So essentially, your best bet is probably getting a Hold'em, right? Or in certain circumstances, you're going to want to get a Bao Huang. And I'll go into why these two are the best bet, because one of the issues with having a 4K vanilla in purple is that it is outside of the range of actually doing stuff, of actually doing anything, because you have to interact with the Dawn to make it even a threat. And for the most part, in purple, you're going to want to be using your Dawn for things that aren't just like swinging at your opponent, because there's a lot of bigger characters that you can use. So it's just kind of meh. And then obviously both of these are just stuff that you don't want to use, even though they have one counter. This 2 for 3k that plays with a trigger is, you don't even really care if that's on the field. And then you have Jinrunny, which is just 1 for 3k, which the only time that I would say a 1 for 3k is really good is if there's ways that you can pump it without actually having to interact with Dawn with it, right? Let's go into the cards that are halfway decent that go off of this piece of trash. Okay, so obviously you have Orochi, which searches for it, so it gets it out of your deck. And that's one of the nice things about this card. If you're going to give it any plus of the artificial devil fruit smile, you would say it is a very consistent card, and it does look through your deck, so it helps you get a lot of advantage. The issue is the only things that you can grab with it are just not good cards. They're not cards that you really want to see, with the exception of maybe Bao Huang or Hold'em. And I'm going to go into Hold'em right here. So what he does is, on KO, add a card from your Dawn deck and rest it. So when he dies, he ends up ramping you, which is a pretty good thing to be doing. The major problem with this card is the fact that getting something to KO is relatively hard in this game, because I can't just, let's say, play Jinrunny on top of Hold'em to trash it, because that's actually a trash effect. That isn't a KO effect. So for something to be actually KO'd, either my opponent has to swing into it, which, if they don't want you to ramp, it's an easy card to play around. or they have to be using a KO effect. So they could do something like killer to kill it, but most of the time they don't want you to gain from that, and they're going to kill or something else. Or Gum Gum Jet Pistol, which, like, why would you ever use this just banger of a card to give your opponent an advantage by killing Hold'em? So that is one of the major problems with on KO as an ability, is that there is not an easy way for someone to KO their own stuff. So it becomes, unless you have something like, I think there's an argument for Hitori Kamazo to be pretty good, mostly because he kills a thing when he dies, right? So he kills so what he does is KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less when he dies, and he's at 5k power. So he is a threat. He can swing in every single turn for 5, and your opponent doesn't want to kill it if they have anything that's going to be that their opponent wants to kill it, mostly due to the fact that if they don't have something that could be killed by it, right? That just makes him arguably an okay card, but he is, again, really easy to play around, okay? So that's one of the major issues with this. You do get to run a 1 for a 2k that is a 2k counter, but one of the things about purple is that they have some of the most stacked counters in the game. You have X-Drake, right? So X-Drake, -1, your opponent trashes 1 card from their hand. So this is getting rid of cards, which is just a super strong thing to do because card advantage is a huge part of the game. And on top of that, he's 5 for a 5k, which that curve isn't amazing, but you did just get rid of a card for playing him, and on top of that, he's a 2k counter. So you can either pitch him if he needs to be pitched, or you can get rid of, generally when you play him, it's going to be later. So you're getting one of their last 2 cards, which are cards that they want to hold on to. You have Ulti, which Ulti can play 2 bodies with her. So if you're using the page 1 package, I'm going to be posting them up on the thing because I didn't want to look through my cards and grab them out. They have the page 1 package, and what she does is -1 Dawn, play 1 page 1 with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. So she's just generally better because you're getting 2 bodies for 1, and she's a great thing to pitch. She's just, some people don't even run the page 1, but they run the ulti because sometimes you can have a body or you can have a 2k counter, which is a great way to go. And then you have Sasaki. What Sasaki does is ×1 Dawn when attacking, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and rest it. So what he can do is ramp you up. And he's also a 2k counter. So sometimes he'll come up, sometimes you actually want to play him if you want to ramp up and you're okay with trashing cards. Other times you don't want to use him, but whenever you don't want to use him, he's a very efficient 2k counter. And then with Orochi, though, you almost never want to use him because, who wants to have your best thing that you can get off of it, hold him, and then the second best thing, which I'm going to go into, which is Bao Huang. What Bao Huang does is, on play, choose 2 cards from your opponent's hand, and your opponent reveals those cards. So that is a very decent effect. It is not an amazing effect, but having knowledge of what is in your opponent's hand is a good thing to know. Because if you know what's in their hand, like let's say they have no Dawn up, and just to go over the 2 cards that I have, they have Blast Breath and a Babanuki. You can be like, okay, so if they have a Dawn up, that means that they can do 4k and 5k, so that makes it so that you are not going to overswing if these are the only 2 cards in their hand. Then, let's say if they don't have any Dawn up, that means they only have 1k counter, which means I can swing 6 on them, and I can get a life from them unless they have a blocker or something, right? So this is a relatively decent card. it is best late game, but it also sucks to play late game because it's only a 3K body, and there's a lot of other things that you could be doing, but I think this card at least has a place in a deck, and you can actually do really good things with it strategically because you can just like know exactly what they're going to be playing next, and that's always good when you're talking about like swinging into people, knowing like how much you have to swing to hit them changes your game plan and it makes it way easier, right? So here is the artificial smile devil fruit. Obviously, some of the other good smiles, like Bob Nuki, is something that people are playing a lot of. He's just a vanilla 5 cost for a 7K body. You know, he's pretty good in purple. A lot of people are running him. One of the issues too is that you can only do maximum 3 cost. That is literally every single smile thing that you can get. A lot of them have 1K counters. None of them have 2K counters. But they are all just, things that are very circumstantial when you want to see them. But they aren't like something you always want to be seeing. So like having to run enough of these to be able to combo off of the artificial devil fruit makes it a tough card to mess around with. But there are people who have made decks around this card, and it's been very consistent. It just wasn't particularly good because you never run hot, but you always do the same thing, right? Which sometimes you'll win just because you're more consistent than your opponent, but most of the time, especially seeing as everyone else has a lot better cards, you're just you're like essentially giving yourself a hard time just to play a meme, just to play a meme deck, just to play a card that's not particularly good, which I'm for, right? If this is something that you want to do, just take a look at all the cards: Jin Rummy, Speed, Bao Huang, Sheep's Head, and hold them, right? Those are the cards that you want to be looking for in your collection. If you guys know of any other smile fruits that interact with the artificial devil fruit smile, be sure to leave them in the comments because I don't want to be forgetting them. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys taking a look and supporting my work. Be sure to have a wonderful day, and if you could like and subscribe, that'd be great. If not, no worries. Be sure to have a wonderful day. Thank you.